Hey guys, I'm LA with Alive Studios. I'm going to show you 6 quick tips for using your Sprout Pro G2 with our software Learning Alive. So you want to make sure, number one, if you have a previous version of Learning Alive or Learning Alive Plus on your Sprout, you need to uninstall that first and then reinstall or install the new version. When you get done with that, this thumb drive that our software comes on, you need to make sure that you don't have that remaining plugged in. You can put it in a safe place and you're done with it once the installation is done. Number two, there's a few differences between the earlier versions of Sprout, the first generation, and then the Gen 2. Namely, the Gen 2, we've added a lot of cool features to it. Namely, in Math Alive and Interactive Stories, the experience is shared between the monitor and the touchpad. So all of your games and 3D experience is on both of these for math and for interactive stories. So I can use my touchpad down here or I can use my monitor. On the G1 version, we don't have that. It's all mostly up here except for in Letters Alive. There's a few virtual buttons that you can use down here. Number three, when you're using the projector here and the touch mat, right? So our software uses that. This has a downward projector that throws this monitor image on your pad with the touch capability. Our software uses that. Our software turns that on automatically. So when you run our software, it runs. So you run Learning Alive, you run the Letters Alive or Math Alive, it turns on. If it doesn't, for some reason, like the very first time you run it, it might not do that. You're going to touch this button on the right. Down here you got 3 buttons. The one on the right, just hold it for a second and let go and it'll turn that on. It turns the projector on and it turns your touchpad on. So if it doesn't do it automatically, that's all you do. Hold that just for a second, let go, and it turns on. Number 4, before you even run it, and you should only have to do this one time, you need to calibrate this monitor's display onto the mat. They need to match up. So when it comes to you very first, right, fresh out of the box, there's a chance that this monitor image will not match this mat. So you need to calibrate it. The way that you do that is this middle button here. You're going to hold that just for a second, a little touch. Once you touch that, this button toolbar pops up. So the last button on the right on this toolbar is the control panel. When I touch that, the control panel comes up and it says projector alignment. I want to make sure that I start this projector alignment series, and it's going to go through some gyrations. So once I push that and say align projector, it goes through a few rigmarole here where it's really aligning, it's taking pictures, it's looking down, it's projecting, it's thinking and calibrating to make sure that your monitor matches the touchpad and that all the things that you touch on the monitor you can actually touch on your pad too. And like I said, this is just a real quick thing. Projector alignment successful. It's done. You should only have to do that one time, but it's very important that you do that. Once this is done, you can close this out. Okay, tip number 5, if you're ever going to display this for whole class or full classroom instruction, and you're going to use a projector or an interactive whiteboard like a Smart or a Promethean or even a TV panel, you're going to use an HDMI cable. This is what that looks like. This is an HDMI cable that will come with your external device. You're going to now plug this into the back. I've got an HDMI outlet on the back side of this panel. There's a few USB outlets and then your HDMI outlet. Plug that in. Now I need to tell the Sprout, what do I want to duplicate? Am I going to show this monitor image on my big screen, or am I going to show my touchpad image on the big screen? The way I set that up is I get my mouse and I right click on the screen. And you see this little pop-up menu comes up and then display settings. That's what I want. So I hit display settings and it now shows me number 1 is my monitor, number 2 is my external device, and number 3 is my touchpad. So I want to say I want to duplicate number 1 over to number 2. So with that highlight, and I can pick these, see I can hit 2 or 3. I want to duplicate 1. That's my monitor. That's the experience that I want to duplicate. With that picked, I come down to the bottom and I hit this menu here, this multiple displays, and I select duplicate 1 and 2. When I duplicate 1 and 2, it combines these two. Now I've got my monitor and my screen, but they're not stacked right. So what I need to do is apply this. So when I apply it, it actually shows me the full layout. So watch, I hit apply and then keep the changes. and it stacks them properly. So I've got my monitor and my display, my external display, and then my touchpad. That's the order in which you want it. That's what you want it to look like for our Learning Alive Plus software to work throughout the entire program. So I come down here and this is done. I've already applied it, and now I can exit out of this menu. So the last tip that I want to show you is actually if your touchpad ever starts acting up. And this is true in anything with your Sprout Pro. If this touchpad starts acting up and it just doesn't touch right, or there's multiple touches, or maybe a touch point stayed depressed and nothing's really happening, all you do is grab this top part here, lift a little bit and pull, and it comes apart. It's magnetically attached to this base. So I pull it apart and I let it snap back into place, and that resets your touchpad, and that should make everything work properly. So that's the 6 tips that I wanted to go over with you with using our Learning Alive Plus on the Sprout Pro G2. Have a great day.